Hello everyone, let's do application load balancer hands-on. What do we need before we can start the ALB hands-on? We need a VPC and I have created VPC. I will shortly show you in console. We need to create two public subnet. This is mandatory, right? You need to have one internet gateway and then we need to attach the internet gateway to the VPC. We need to have a route table, a public route table, and we all know that why do we need it, right? We have learned in networking section. And after that, what we will do, we will create two EC2 instance in two public subnet, and then a target group. You can see this is a target group. Target group will cover these two EC2 instance. These two EC2 instance will be under this target group, and then application load balancer we will create, and that's how when you send a request, the request will be distributed to these two EC2 instances. Alright, so let's get into the console. Here in EC2 dashboard, you can see two EC2 are running, right? One is web server A and web server B. Web server A, let me select its public IP and then let me paste it here. So it's in US East 1A. Okay, let's select the public IP of second web server. This is the second web server, public IP. And you can see it is in US East 1B. So we have deployed two EC2 instance in two separate availability zone under one region. Alright, now what we need to do, to your left in EC2 dashboard you can find load balancer. So let's open the load balancer in new tab, and here click on create load balancer. You will see these options: application load balancer, network load balancer, gateway load balancer, and previous generation classic load balancer. We are here to perform application load balancer hands-on. Let's click on it. Let me put the application load balancer name. Let me say demo ALB, right? Now we have two options. One is internet facing, one is internal facing. Internet facing, and this is what we are going to select, not the internal. Internet facing load balancer uses the internet and public IP of target instances to route the traffic. We can read out this, and internet facing load balancer routes requests from client over the internet to the target, right? Whereas internal load balancer route the request from client to the target using private IP address, but we are not discussing internal one. We are discussing internet facing. Okay, IPv4 we will select. As far as networking mapping is concerned, we need to select the VPC. We have only one VPC in North Virginia region, and that VPC I have selected, right? We need to have at least two availability zone, guys. Read this out. Select at least two availability zone and one subnet per zone. So let me select the first availability zone, and I have this one public subnet. This is a public subnet under this particular availability zone. Let me select the second availability zone and second subnet. Okay. As far as security group is concerned, we need to create a security group. So what we can do, let's create a new security group for application load balancer. So let me write security group for ALB, right? And same description I can paste it here. VPC, we have only one VPC. Let's add the rule. So we need to have HTTP on port 80 from across the world, from everywhere. That's it. Outbound is, since security group is stateful, correct? So let me just create it. Done. Let me refresh it. And then security group for application load balancer. Can you see it? All right. Now, as far as listener and routing is concerned, you can have only two protocol listed down here since we are working on application load balancer, HTTP and HTTPS. We all know that 80 is the default port for HTTP, right? If I select the HTTPS, the port will be changed to 443. So I am selecting HTTP. Load balancer using the HTTP protocol will listen to the traffic on port 80. Now, based on the diagram, can you see the diagram? We need to create a target group. Okay, so target group we need to create. Can you see the target group here, right? So what we need to do, click on target group, open it in new window, and you can see we are in target group. So there are various target we can select. One is instance, and that is what we are going to select, instance, right? IP address, lambda function, etc. As far as application load balancer is concerned, this can be target when you work on network load balancer, because application load balancer can be one of the target for network load balancer. But here we will select instance, that means EC2 instance. Okay. Now, as far as protocol and port is concerned, guys, if you select this drop down, you can see HTTP and HTTPS. So we are selecting this protocol and port for target group. In other words, for target. So basically, when you create a target group, so we are creating target group, right? We are creating target group. We specify a port, and this is what we have specified, or we are specifying. So we specify this port, target port for target. Targets here are nothing but EC2 instance. And on this port, load balancer will send the traffic. Okay. So port here can be HTTP and HTTPS for application load balancer, TCP, TLS, UDP for network load balancer. I'm selecting HTTP and I'm keeping the port 80. But you can ask me this question, why every time I keep the port as 80? This particular port is a port of your target. So if, for example, if your web server in EC2 instance is configured to listen on port 8080, not port 80, then here you will write 8080. You are getting it? 8080. If your web server in your EC2 instance is configured to listen the traffic on 8090, then you will configure 8090 here. But I'm using everything default, so I'm keeping 80. All right, because by default Apache web server in, when Apache web server is what I have configured in EC2 instance, and by default it listen on port 80. Okay. VPC, I need to select the same VPC, protocol HTTP1, that's okay. Health check, what is health check, guys? We have already discussed in detail in theory, but let me very quickly give you guys the idea. The protocol I am keeping HTTP, or I can keep HTTPS. So I am keeping HTTP, and this is going to be a default health check because you can see the forward slash. Can you see the forward slash, right? So the default health check path is forward slash. This is called forward slash default health check path. This means application load balancer will send requests to the root URL of target. What is root URL, guys? For example, URL or IP both are same, right? So for example, your URL is like or your IP of target. For example, this is EC2 instance, right? And this is going to be one of the target. These are two target under one target group, right? So this is the IP. So what load balancer will do? This is the IP, root, and then slash. So this is called default health check. You are getting it? Okay. I'm keeping forward slash. Now, as far as advanced health check settings are concerned, healthy threshold means to consider one target healthy, you will have to send 5 consecutive. You have to see 5 times EC2 instance is declared healthy, then only, or healthy, then only it will be declared after 5 times healthy. So what I can do 2. Okay, the number of consecutive health check successes required before considering unhealthy target healthy. That means to consider any target healthy, 2 consecutive health check will be performed, and it should be healthy 2 times. Similarly, 2 times if if load balancer does not receive any response 2 consecutive times, the target will be considered unhealthy, right? Timeout, the amount of time in second during which no response means failed health check. Interval, approximate amount of time between health check of individual target, right? Pretty straightforward. Success code is 200. The health check expects a successful HTTP status code that is 200 to consider an instance healthy. Alright, we will see in log. If you check the application load balancer log, whenever instance is healthy, you will always see 200. Alright, let me click on next. Let me give a name, demo target group. Demo target group. All right, next. So right now you have 2 EC2 instance, right? Select them and click on include as pending and create target group. Target group is created, guys. Okay, let me go back to application load balancer. So we were here, correct? We were creating application load balancer. Refresh it, and now target group is ready. Demo target group. This is what we have created, and this is the firewall and etc. I am not discussing right now. You just need to check the summary. This is the summary of application load balancer, and see, internet facing IPv4 address. It gives the idea of security group, VPC, your availability zone and subnets, right? And listener and routing. Listener and port, correct? Click on, let me give demo ALB. Now this will take some time. Provisioning, this will take maybe 1 minute. Sometime it takes more than 1 minute, so we need to wait for some time. So what you can see, guys, application load balancer is in active state. But before we test its DNS name, let me show you guys. To your left you can see target group. Let me open the target group here, so you can always check. Click on target group and check the targets. Can you see these targets are healthy? That means health check has been performed successfully, guys. This is important, because even if your load balancer is in active state but these targets are not healthy, eventually traffic will not be routed to these targets, right? So now we can select the DNS name and then we can paste it in the browser. Let's see what happens. So can you see it? US East 1B. So first request goes to 1B, the second EC2 instance. Let me refresh it again and you can see 1A. Let me refresh once again. 1B. Can you see it? 1A and 1B. Right? So it's working perfectly fine, isn't it? Correct. So this is the end of this hands-on. I hope you have learned a lot. Now you have complete idea about how to configure application load balancer. What are these small nitty-gritties of application load balancer? All right. I will see you guys in the next lecture. Thank you.